All right. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday night Parent Academy webinar session. Thank you for joining us. And again, we are excited to have you as audience listeners and participants. I am Tina Folston Hayes, the Parent Academy Specialist for Educational Equity and Outreach for the Alachua County Public Schools, and I would like to welcome you this evening. Tonight, we will receive some helpful information from our guest speaker, Ms. Jennifer Lowe, who is joining us from Episcopal Children's Services. She will provide some helpful information for our Alachua County Public School students in surrounding areas. Just before we get started, let's review some housekeeping elements. Please keep your microphones on mute throughout the duration of the presentation. We will monitor your questions and respond accordingly. Please use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of the webinar window. And please note, all Parent Academy webinars are closed captioned, recorded, and posted to our website for access at a later date to re-review or for anyone who could not join us and tune in tonight. Your questions will be answered at the conclusion of each session. If there are any specific needs that you have or a personal conversation, the Parent Academy email address is parentacademy@gm.sbac.edu. And we will get to those questions or your requests for additional information and follow up with the correct Alachua County Public School person or community member. Now, I would like to present our guest speaker for the evening, Miss Jennifer Lowe.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening. How are you?
I am doing well. My day is almost ended, so it's
Oh,
doing really, really well. I'm excited to be here tonight.
wonderful. Thank you. We appreciate you being on board.
All right, so tonight I want to give some little helpful tips for just some positive parenting tips for all of our parents out there. I know that it's hard being a parent. I have been one. My children are grown and gone now. I have a 27-year-old daughter, and she is actually in Minnesota and living life to the fullest up there. And I know it's not easy raising kids. So these are just some positive parenting tips that I have put together through from Conscious Discipline, which is a wonderful thing that we use with Episcopal Children's Services. It's one of our social emotional curriculums that we use. So some things we're going to talk about tonight is encouraging children effectively with noticing. So the power of noticing is just how we shift our focus from all those negative things to positive. We want to be able to turn it around, to change those. We want to focus on the positive behaviors so that we get more positive behaviors in the long run. So when you start saying things like "stop it," "no, don't," that's when we kind of go, back it up. Let's talk about something that the child did correctly, or hey, you shared a book with your brother. That was awesome. Thank you. So you're encouraging those positive behaviors. So when we notice children, we describe their actions out loud. You picked up your toys and put them on the shelf. Awesome job. You did it. You cleaned your room. You carried your cup to the table by holding it with two hands. That's how we're supposed to carry our cups so we don't spill them. So anytime you're talking to children, you need to notice them and then describe their behaviors that they're doing. So let's see what Becky Bailey says about it.
Welcome to Conscious Clips on Our Time Together. Today I'm going to talk about noticing and the power and difference between noticing and judging. I often refer to conscious discipline as a journey. A journey implies going from one place to another. So what might be that journey in conscious discipline? On one level, it's a journey from judging to noticing, from demanding that life go as we think it should, the world act as we think it should, to accepting what is and then making the necessary changes. I've often said, and I think many people would agree with me, that awareness is a better change agent than consequences. I think back many years ago when I first started teaching, I would say okay at the end of a sentence. I would go line up at the door, okay, pick up the books, okay. And when someone mentioned to me that I was saying okay, I thought, maybe once or twice or three times, maybe. I actually then took a recording device, carried it around with me, and found out on day one, I said, okay, 300 times. Day two, I said it 4 times. That consciousness, my awareness of what I was doing and the impact it was having on others, was a quick change agent. We can't change what we're not aware of. Awareness is another word for consciousness, thus the term conscious discipline. Now, noticing builds consciousness, so that's why noticing is an essential skill and the foundational skill for conscious discipline. It simply is describing what you see. You came over and sat down like this. You opened your book to page 12. You raised your hand, so I knew you needed help. A lot of you listening would go, well, duh, doesn't the child know this? Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Again, noticing strengthens the frontal lobe, and sometimes children just aren't aware of what they're doing. They're working on automatic pilot. The more noticing we do, the stronger the frontal lobe becomes. Also, when we get triggered, when something happens that's emotional, we become immediately unconscious. We go into the lower centers of our brain and we open our mouth with habitual responses. And the same thing happens with kids. When they get emotionally upset, they become unconscious. So noticing is a skill to bring them out of the lower centers to the higher centers of their brain. So simply noticing helps a child go from unconscious to conscious. Saying, your arm went like this. You sat right down and got busy with your homework. You scooted over so your friends had more space. Simply describing what the child does strengthens their frontal lobe and brings us as an adult to the present moment. We do not receive this with judgment. Judgment sounds more like this. Good job. Oh, that's good. Very good. We can judge and not be present in our brain. With noticing, you must be in the present moment with children, and that's where children live. They don't live in the past. They don't live in the future. They live in the present. So by noticing, we join children, and it offers a sense of connection. The next thing it does is it helps children move from trying to please us to being who they are. Watch this clip, this next clip of me during a number of noticing activities from different grade levels. Pay specific attention to the first one, which is a kindergarten classroom. And as I start noticing, your hands are like this or your hands are like this, all the other kids are going, oh, and they're trying to move their hands to please me. But as I continually notice their differences, they realize, oh, I don't have to please you. I just have to be who I am. Watch the clip carefully and watch all the notice the noticing I'm doing.
She said, stand up and look. Everybody stood up, and you stood up with your hands like this, and you stood up with your hands. Oh, you got yours like this, and you got yours in your pocket. Everybody stood up. Oh, you have yours behind your back. And you have yours right by your side. You all stood up. You scooted over so your friends had more space. So, first of all, I want you to check with yourself. Do I have enough space, and do my friends have enough space? There you go, and now you guys, there you go, perfect. You scooted over so you had, look at you guys. I noticed you guys scooted over so you'd have a little bit more room. All right, you got it. You know, it was really neat to watch you guys do that, because some of the things I saw, I mean, you guys, first of all, you know, you found your space and you kept it safe. Some of you really got into it. Some of you kind of hang back, and you were a riot, because when you did the reverse, instead of moving his feet, he just turned like this. He did a little bit different. Some of you turned all the way around. So each of you did it in your own kind of way. Some of you started talking in the middle, but you separated back out and kept on task. It was really awesome to watch you guys work together. Oh man, you came right in. You came right in and you sat down and your skin was just like this. You came in and picked that chair and then scooted over. You changed your mind. You changed your mind. You guys noticed that Philip didn't have, and you said, Philip, you can be with us. So Philip, they're inviting you. Hop on over there, guys. Saying to everybody else, this is important, because he said, y'all all scared? Y'all hear that? See, he'd already said no, right? He said, no, I ain't gonna do it, I passed. And he said, what are y'all all scared? And so he kind of put his money where his mouth was. Instead of just focus out there like you guys are scared, he took it back and he took within himself and got up and tried it. That was something. That was something.
Good job, guys. For all of you for participating and trying. Good job.
All right. Neat stuff I saw then. And it's like Marion. Marion was trying to get over here to read somebody and kind of bumped into somebody and by accident, of course, but bumped in and goes, excuse me. I mean, I saw that. And some of you, after you did the greeting, were going, thank you. Or you also waited, you know, when there was like a lineup. I mean, all those things are so helpful. Like you guys were waiting your turn, and somebody said, ouch, or that was too hard.
That's me.
Yeah, it was a little too hard, so you gave her information so she knew. Otherwise, she'd never have a clue what you were talking about. You kind of bumped too hard, but you both kind of gave each other that information. Really neat stuff happening.
Yeah, we really enjoyed the greetings, and sometimes
You helped your friend by showing her exactly where to start. Yes, you did. 6.5. You didn't understand that at all, man. Your face was saying, I don't get it. The both of us. So
how many
we do it all. There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
3. Right there. There you go. There you go. You just put it right up there so you can double check. That's what you're doing. You're double checking. One, you can do this. Well, I saw you come over here checking all these numbers, and that's all right, but I still believe you can do it. Take this little thing, and let's work. That's it. Get a little stretch. Stretch that back out and get that brain moving. Noticing is an essential skill. It allows us to be conscious enough to discipline ourselves and our children. Most importantly, it allows each of us to be who we are. Until next time, I wish you
well. Excuse me. So, noticing is acknowledging the effort. It's not necessarily praising. It's just when we notice something, we describe the actions out loud, and then our focus is on the effort, not necessarily the outcome. So instead of saying nice job, good job, say you worked really hard on putting your toys away. You worked really hard on helping mommy fold laundry. Anything that you can put that effort towards with the noticing is an absolute wonderful thing for your children to start to focus on positive behaviors. So some ways to notice is just basic noticing like we just talked about. Noticing to encourage compliance, such as you picked up your toys out of the floor. You did what mommy asked you to and cleaned up your room. Noticing to encourage kindness and helpfulness. You shared with your brother. That was very nice of you. You helped your brother to brush his teeth. So anything like that is ways to notice. Excuse me. So another thing I want to talk about is resolving conflict with problem-solving language. I know some of you may think, what is she talking about? Let's dig deeper so I can explain it more. So our goal is to learn the language of conflict resolution. We want to solve problems, not stay in it. Okay? So when we teach children healthy boundaries in relationships, that sends them into another level. Okay? So resolving conflicts peacefully teaches problem-solving language skills. You also always want to think about the age of your child. Because if you have a little one, a baby, that's crawling around, they are not able to talk yet. But you have to watch their body language. When they start pushing things away, that means that they're done. That's a conflict. They don't want it. So a 2-year old screams out no almost all the time. So you have to figure out what that no means. Does it mean that I'm frustrated? Does it mean that's just what I'm saying? So when you, excuse me, when you start learning that body language, the language skills that your children have, it will help to resolve conflicts within the family. So one way to do this is to use the key phrase, do you see her face? Her face is saying she's mad. So when you see her face, you give a nonverbal child a voice, such as two siblings are fighting. One is a year and a half old. All he can say is no or stop. And then you've got a 5-year-old. They're arguing back and forth. And the oldest one needs to understand to look at the face to see what the child is trying to say. So you're teaching that phrase of see her face. Her face is saying blank. So what could his face be saying? Look at the little boy. What do you think this toddler's trying to say? Me? I think the little boy wants a turn on that bicycle. He's grabbing hold of that seat. But sister is pushing that head back. So what's she saying? I see that you're pushing on your brother. Does that mean you want more time on the bike? All right, let's tell your brother, right now I'm riding. When I'm done, I'll give you a turn. And then we have to try to take the little one and let them understand that right now it's sister's turn, but when she's finished, then you will have a turn. It's easier to have two bikes in a household too. So we have to be the big voice for preschoolers and give them a big voice. And for older children as well. So here's the steps for that. Here's an example. James knocks over Karen's block tower and she looks angry. First, you as the adult needs to take 3 deep breaths because we can't solve anything until we're calm. So take a deep breath. 2, 3. Always go to the one that was the victim, the one that got hurt, the one that is angry. So you go to that one first and you describe what you saw. And then you say, did you like it? So you could say, Karen, I saw that James knocked over your block tower. Did you like that? And if the child says no, if the child shakes its head, then you have to teach a new skill for them to use. You need to tell James, I don't like it when you knock my blocks over. You can build your own tower if you want, or we can take turns knocking the tower over. Excuse me. Because there's different ways to go about it. But always address the one who got hurt or who got something done to. Okay? Let's watch this clip on how it can be done. I'm not going to say it's always that easy. But as long as you stay with what you're doing, it does make it much easier. So key points to remember is to take your deep breaths, address the victim first, describe what you saw, and then you teach by providing words for the child. And I apologize, I know I'm a quick talker, but this is my contact information. This is my cell phone number and my email. If you all have any questions that you'd like to talk to me privately about, I'll be glad to answer anything. Um, but I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Jennifer, for all of that helpful information. I even saw some things on there that I plan to implement in my own
Awesome.
house. So yeah. And then if we wanted to access that video or to go back and just reference it, where would we go and look for that at? Or is that available?
That is actually one that I created the
Okay.
PowerPoint, so I can either send it to you, or if you want to learn more about conscious discipline, YouTube
Hmm.
has loads of information on conscious discipline by Becky Bailey, and there she has all kinds of videos for free that are on there. Um, but I'll be more than glad to send the PowerPoint to you if you'd like.
Wonderful. If you could, that would be great.
Absolutely.
And I don't currently see any questions in the Q&A yet, so we'll give them a little bit of time because they may be typing because they haven't logged off yet. So maybe they're coming up with something to ask you.
We have a lot of we do a lot of our parent trainings on conscious discipline just because it's something that we teach in our schools, as well as we want our parents to understand what our teachers are doing, so that when we send our children home during the, at the end of the day, that they're going home to a style that they're used to hearing at school, so it kind
Hmm.
of complements each other and it works together.
So like that reinforcement.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I right now I have a 2-year-old, I have a 10-year-old, and I have a 18-year-old. And
Oh wow.
so the 2-year-old is definitely learning and, trying to pick things up. And I think, when you have such a big gap,
Yeah.
um, the 10-year-old is not quite sure how to navigate with that 2-year-old. And so being able to give her those positive, oh, you helped your sister get in her chair. Like, I think that's
Absolutely.
awesome because I think that that helps her to fit in
Yes.
to, the family dynamic and making sure that we still recognize her, even though we have this little one now. So I really
Absolutely.
took a lot away from this presentation. So I thank you again.
Absolutely.
And so I don't see anybody asking any questions yet, although they're still here. So we can give everyone a few more minutes to let us
Okay.
know if you have any questions for Miss Jennifer. And then do you know how many local, well, the folks that you guys work with, or how do you know how many are in the Alachua County area?
Oh, I I do not know specifically exactly, but I know that we have approximately 10 centers in the
Okay.
Alachua area.
Okay. And they all go about this same
Absolutely.
practice.
This
Okay.
is something we do monthly trainings on.
Okay.
Every month we have trainings that we teach our teachers about conscious discipline, and of course, when our coaches go out to monitor our teachers, they're actually walking through conscious discipline steps with them. So it's something we
Hmm.
use very, very often.
That's awesome. And I wonder moving, because these are smaller kids, and so moving up in grades, I wonder, have you guys developed anything or anything that you take to the next level to say this is how you can reinforce it once they move from this grade level or this setting?
We have not, but Becky Bailey, of course, she does all range of ages. I mean, she does everything from newborns all the way through college level.
Okay.
She does a lot of the teacher trainings and things like that. But for us, I know that me personally, when I was in the classroom, that was something I always wanted to keep up with, even with the children that went on to kindergarten, was to find
Hmm.
out if the parents were sticking with it. And most parents did. I mean, because they
Yeah.
said they saw such a difference by using conscious discipline and how it works with their children that they said they would never stop. They wanted more information. I had two that come
Right.
back after, and wanted more information on, well, how can I deal with this? So I was able to actually walk them through some more conscious discipline steps to actually to keep on working with their children.
Wonderful. That's awesome. That really is. Because, I mean, once and I think also once you start something, and what did they say? It takes like 30 days to create a habit. And so, or break a
Absolutely.
habit, I guess, for that matter, too. And I think if you get into the routine of doing it, and then I think it's just a part of you at that point, you
Absolutely.
know.
Well, that's what I laugh about because when I teach teachers that are, new teachers when they come
Hmm.
on, I told them, I said, you're going to feel silly when you start. I said, because you're not used to it. I said, but
Hmm.
if you keep going, just keep every day, remind yourself, okay, this is what I need to say. We have posters up on our walls that help remind the teachers of things they need to say throughout the day. And
Wow.
I had one the other day. She's been with us for about 60 days now. And she said, Miss Jennifer, she said, I was a complete idiot whenever I started. I said, no, 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 you're not an idiot. And she said, I sure felt like it. She said, but you know what? She said, I started using it at home now too. And I said,
Yes.
good, because that's what we want to see. We want to see it carry on.
Yes. And I'm definitely going to make sure that I keep in touch with you so that way I can report back to you too to let you know how it's working in my household as well.
Awesome.
And it looks like it says one attendee has their hand up, and if you can just put whatever question you may have in the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, because I don't know if they really have a question or if they just clicked it. Ah, hi, I wanted to know how you use different forms of timeout and punishment. Okay.
Okay. We don't use timeout or punishment. Um,
Mm.
Timeout is considered a punishment, and we don't, we have what we call a calm down area or a safe place. Sorry. Safe place is what is with conscious discipline. And it's where children can go to take their deep breaths because that's what we do is we teach our children how to calm themselves. And that's what the safe place is. It's where they go to get control back over their behaviors. Now, you will have some that can't do it on their own. You have to walk them through several times of how to deal with, these behaviors. I had one child one time that I put him up against my chest and I was doing the deep breathing and he finally started doing it himself. So it's not a matter of punishment with conscious discipline. It's teaching what is right. And that's why I love the conscious discipline is that it's not a punishment thing. We don't punish, we teach.
Interesting. So I guess a follow-up question for me would be, how do you, so say we do send to timeout and have you count to 10 or 15 and then come and talk to you and then get up. How do you do that with a 2-year-old when we're
Very
just
hard. It's
completely out of control?
consistency. I know, and it's you have to be consistent. You can't just try it one time and it be done.
Hmm.
Trust me, I was a Head Start teacher. It's not going to work the first time you say, all right, let's go gather yourself back together. You're going,
Gotcha.
the kid's sitting there screaming, and so
Mm-hmm.
you have to get control of yourself first. So if you're like losing your temper watching this child scream, you're gonna do nothing but put off that negative behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to regroup yourself, and it's okay to say, Miss Jennifer needs to breathe. Miss Jennifer needs to breathe. She needs to calm herself again and watch the children in your classroom or around you. Watch your 2 year old when you say, Mommy's having a freak out, Mommy just needs to breathe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Watch what happens because you're going to start to notice a difference in your child once you start using this.
Okay. And honestly, I really would like to share this with her, the daycare instructor, so that way they'll have, something to kind of go off of, and see
Absolutely.
if that's something they can implement. I think it's definitely useful. Definitely
And
useful.
if they want me to come out and do some training, let me know.
Okay. Wonderful.
I'll do some training with them.
Right. That's awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I hope that answered that question.
Yeah. Hey, parents, do we have any other questions? Well, Miss Jennifer, I think we might be all finished. I don't see anybody else popping up to ask anything,
Okay.
right?
Well, the ones that are left, if you all
So,
have any questions, feel free to email me. It's Jennifer, JENNIFER underscore. I am so sorry. It's Jennifer dot LOWE at ECS, the number four, KIDS .org. You all can email me any of your questions at any time. I'll be more than glad to answer.
okay. All right. And I'll check it one more time to see if we have anyone that asks us a question. Okay. Well, all right. Well, I don't see any more questions, Miss Jennifer. So, um, I would just like to thank everyone again for joining us on tonight's Zoom. We appreciate your participation. Each week, you are available to connect with us for more informative presentations and discussions. Once again, I am Tina Folston Hayes, the Parent Academy Specialist for Educational Equity and Outreach for the Alachua County Public Schools. And next, we look forward to seeing you back here next Thursday, which is January the 26th. And we will be joined by Parent Guidance, and their topic for the evening will be, I believe, on helping to build your, let's see, it is building your child's confidence. And so we hope to see you then. And then if there is nothing else, we will let you all go for the night. And if you need to reach out to us for any reason, please feel free to on the Parent Academy at gm.sbac.edu or to Miss Jennifer, who has provided her email address as well. And have a good evening.